Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a stream with some wildflowers in the front. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll show you step by step how to do it from start to finish tonight. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's the man in chat for our live show, so if you've got questions, you can ask those in chat and we'll try to answer. Let's get started. Thank you to our live audience who are joining us tonight. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedules to do that. Makes a lot of fun for us. We're going to be working on a 9 by 12 inch canvas today. This is the Fredrix Mixed Media Canvas board. I haven't done anything to it to prep it, just straight up regular canvas. Canvas board. As far as brushes go, you're going to want some flat brushes. So I've got a couple different sizes of flats. These are the Princeton 6100 series, and then I've got a Filbert and a few other flats, and actually these are brights that are a little bit shorter than the flat brushes. You can see those are a little bit longer. And then round brush. I'll mention the brushes as I use them. You're going to want a foliage brush of some sort. So I'm going to grab the Deerfoot Stipplers for that, and then I've also got blenders for that as well. So a couple different sizes of stippling brushes for our foliage. You can also use a fan brush for some of that, and then a liner brush for some of the trees and grasses. So those will be the main brushes we use. We'll go over them more in detail as we go, but Princeton is our brush sponsor, so thank you to them, and Fredrix for our canvas. Let me go over our colors. You're also going to want a chalk, so I didn't mention that. Chalk or pastel chalk, some sort of water-soluble type of pencil for drawing on the canvas, or a traceable. Got burnt umber, burnt sienna, quinacridone burnt orange, yellow oxide, Indian yellow hue, cadmium yellow light, phthalo green yellow shade. Those are both fluid. They've kind of mixed there in the middle, and didn't really want them to do that, but that's okay. Cobalt teal.
They're visiting.
Yeah, don't. Kids, turn away.
I need to do the little pixelated thing right there.
Pixelate. The yellow blue green shade, Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, and Quinacridone Magenta, Unbleached Titanium and Titanium White, and then this is Gloss Glazing Liquid. If you don't have these exact colors, just use what you've got that's similar. You're going to want kind of a bluish green blue of some sort, so a phthalo blue green shade works for that. Something on the turquoise side, and then also a more purpley blue like the ultramarine. Okay, can you switch it back over? Thank you. All right, so for our drawing, and I wanted to say, do a shout out for Susie Bales-Oswalt. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
For using the photo. So thank you to her. She sent this to me, and I added a few more flowers at the bottom because flowers, you know. gotta have it. I gotta have more. So. All right, so it's almost, the flowers are actually taking up more of this image than you realize. It's actually almost the whole bottom third of the canvas here, which, you know, if you did your thirds this way, you're going to be starting down here and actually coming up to almost the halfway mark on this side. And so this will be all our flowers back in here. We are going to bring our water down a little bit lower than that, but that'll give us kind of an idea of where that's going to go. So up in here. And then on this photo, there's like a hard wall, but I don't think I'm going to put that in because I don't think it's going to translate very well to the canvas. As far as for this scene, since everything's going to be very organic, kind of flowing lines for the water, and then I think having this straight line over here is just going to kind of, to me, throw it off. That's just my personal preference. So I think I'm going to make this more of a sloping lawn and maybe put some trees over in here. So we're just going to kind of do like that on this side. I'm not going to put that straight line there. So just, I don't, sometimes, especially if we're painting impressionistically, if you have a like non-organic kind of thing in here, unless it's like a building or something that's recognizable pretty easily, sometimes it just kind of throws things off, and your brain doesn't know how to compute. It doesn't make sense, and then it kind of just distracts from the whole thing. So that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. I think I'm just going to leave it out. All right. So as far as over here goes, I'm going to use up this whole third, I think, with this water here. So I'm going to kind of bring it up here and do this nice diagonal and funnel all of this in this way. So kind of do something like that and funnel this all in here. Can they see my drawing here at all? Hopefully a little bit. So something like that. We're going to have trees coming in over this way. So this will be our trees here. We're going to have just a little bit of the sky showing here and then trees back in here. So that's pretty much all we're going to do. And we're going to have like larger trees up in here. But that's kind of our drawing. So just kind of drawing this sort of, I might bring this down just a little bit. I don't want it straight across from this one though, so I think I will leave it up higher. Something like that. All right, we'll see better as we get to painting if we need to change something, but I'm going to just block in my major colors now and do some sky behind my trees. So our sky in this is very, very pale. I'm going to use Ultramarine Blue and Phthalo Blue. It's kind of my tried and true color combo. Maybe a little bit of burnt umber. What were we going to say?
With white?
With white, yes. Want to say also welcome to those who are first time watching with us tonight. Hope you guys come back and enjoy the show, subscribe, all that good stuff. We've got hopefully some people coming in from other places, so I'd be curious in the comments to find out how long you've been watching and how you found us. Of course, you can't do it in, comment until after the live stream, but you can at least do it in chat. Maybe it'd be interesting to see kind of how long people have been watching and where they found out about us from, if it was from friends or we've got some TikTok videos going on now, so I'm curious if anybody's coming over from those, if they learned about us from there. All right, so that's gonna be a nice, like, kind of just soft blue backdrop, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this color in my water too, because there's a lot of reflection happening from the sky, and it's gonna be a lot darker than this, obviously. We're not gonna leave it this light, but our reflections are gonna be pretty light, so we can go ahead and kind of just use this sort of as a base color. We'll add our darker colors into this as we get going. So that's good. I'm just kind of putting it in sort of side to side here. It is kind of running this way, so there are some lines for the moving foam or whatever, white water areas, but for the most part, we're kind of seeing this side-to-side action in our reflections on water, just generally. It's sort of a good rule of thumb. When in doubt, do it horizontally, kind of like clouds, If you're going to make it up, just do it side to side. It looks good. Not sure why. All right. Yeah, I think that'll work. I'm going to get a little bit of the Phthalo Blue and a little bit of Ultramarine Blue, mostly Phthalo Blue, and some of the burnt sienna. I thought about adding Phthalo Turquoise. If you wanted to do that, you could. I'm just going to add some green here, some Phthalo Green, since I was going to use that already. So these two colors make Phthalo Turquoise, so just adding a little bit of the burnt sienna will make it a little bit more neutral. When you see me doing that, adding these kind of more neutralizing colors, that's what I'm doing. It's just kind of trying to make it a little bit more realistic. So sometimes these colors can look really too bright if we don't tone them down just a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to use the side edge of my brush. I'm going to darken up this water that's coming out here, and it's going to be dark right up along this area here where these trees are in shadow. Our light's coming from this direction. It's hitting these trees and hitting this side and some of the flowers. So this side is a little bit darker, and then the water along this side is going to be a little bit lighter, not as much of the shadows. So I'm literally just kind of smushing it. This color is still a little bit wet, and in fact I can pick up some of that color and just kind of use the corner of my brush and just smush it in there. Smushing, very technical term, but just kind of adding very random. We'll add rocks and things in here too, but right now I'm just kind of trying to look and see in my photo where I'm seeing dark areas and make sure that I've got some kind of that going on. We'll add more as we go, but that'll be a good starting place. What do you saying check?
Just randomly interacting with you.
Oh, okay.
Make you think like you're not.
Was that part of that conversation? I just wasn't sure.
I don't know, but I try to pretend like I'm listening sometimes.
Oh, okay. I see. That was a
right.
Yeah. Explain to the class what she was just talking about, Mark.
Because sometimes you say things like, "Does that make sense?"
Does that make sense? And then you're just like,
and that's a key word.
You're just trying to be. I'm trying to be helpful, even if I wasn't making sense. You're just like, yep.
Right. If I hear somebody say, "Do you want chocolate?" Yes.
Auto response.
Yes.
Got it. All right, so there we go. We got some blue going on, and we're going to add more purples and reds and things like that to the water too. It's not going to just and greens to reflect our trees, but this is a good start. I'm going to go ahead and grab some more, and I want to make some more of this blue. I kind of used up all the blue, the sky blue color, so make up a little bit more of that. I'm going to get a little bit of the Cobalt teal, that's the color. And let me think, what color am I seeing down there? Yeah, it's kind of a bluish color, so maybe I'll get some of this and some green and just do kind of a dark teal, more of a green instead of the turquoisey. There we go. So we're going to use this back in here. And this will be our far tree shadow areas. So this is the far bank, these trees. This is the under area here. I'm going to get some dark. I'm going to add that back in here. Dark brown. I'm going to add purple over here, but that'll work. And then I'm going to get some yellow and green. Add that. Mostly yellow. A little bit of white. Cadmium yellow. Still have this turquoise and things on my brush, so it's kind of mixing with it. And I'm going to use that in here too. And I'm just going to start to kind of bring this up. Now I could switch to a different brush at this point, but I think I might want to keep it sort of like this, sort of this more choppy, like blocky, sort of almost angular brush strokes and trees. So doing like that. And when you want to make your trees look farther away, a really good rule of thumb is just to add some of your sky color in there. That automatically will kind of push it back and make it look farther away. Getting some of that dark turquoise color here, burnt sienna and phthalo blue, and then adding some green to it. So it's more of a turquoise color. And I just want to make sure that my values back here are dark right up against the bottom here and then get lighter as they go up. So I think that's going to be pretty close in color. What you doing, huh?
Well, we have a question. I know
Okay.
we like to save most questions for the end. This one's regarding painting in the water. So
Okay.
do you want it now or?
If it
What do you
relates
do?
to what I'm doing right now, yes, we can do it.
Okay. It said that when you're painting water,
Mm-hmm.
is there a rule to go from light to dark shades?
No, I mean, sometimes I start out dark and add my highlights. It just happened to have that white from the sky, so I decided to add it down there. And also, I kind of tend to do the color that I'm seeing the most. So in this particular scene, the water is kind of a light color almost all the way across. There's fewer dark areas, and so that also kind of informed what I did first. So, if you've got an area where you've got a water that's really dark, most of it's dark, and you've only got a few highlights, and I would do the dark color first, and, save your paint kind of thing. Mix. Sometimes it's just what I happen to have on my brush. Gonna make a dark purpley green here with Dioxazine Purple and a little bit of burnt umber, and then the phthalo green yellow shade. See how nice that dark? It's like a black. It's really pretty. That's going to be for this side. This side's not getting the light. It's all dark in here. And I'm going to go up most all the way up here with it because I want to have dark color behind my greens in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and do most of this area, and then I'm just going to kind of fuzz out these edges to see how I'm kind of blending it a little bit. So if any of that shows, it'll be kind of soft and easy to cover. And I just want it with a darker color along the bank of the river here, or the stream, or whatever this is. And come in the water and go a little bit darker over here too with the greens. So whatever I'm using, once I start getting with these greens going, I'm going to be using them in the water too. So whatever I use, I'll use in the water. That's it. Okay. So wipe that clean. And then on this side, I need to decide what colors I want to use. So I think I'm going to use these more saturated greens that I'm seeing with a little bit more yellow in them. Since this side is going to be our sunny side of the stream. So I'm going to get some yellow oxide. I'm going to add the Sienna burnt umber color to my green. That'll give me a warmer green. So this side using the cooler colors with the blues and purple. Those are all cool colors. And then this side using the brownish yellow greens. It can still be dark, but it'll be a warmer base. It'll have a little bit of this orangey tone to it. In fact, I might even grab a little bit of the Quinacridone Orange and use that as my base. I could have even used the magenta there, but that'll be a good base for my warm side that has a little bit of sunlight hitting it. Okay. Right. Looks good.
Is it all about the base?
All about that base, baby. Yes. You're silly.
It's one of the few things I do mediocrely, whatever that word is.
The what?
That's one of the few things I do kind of mediocre.
What?
Be funny.
Be funny.
See? Point given.
Sorry, I was going to cough. I wasn't not saying. I was trying. Try not to. This time of year is so fun in Arkansas. Kids, my allergies going like crazy. I'm allergic to oak. Our neighbor has a huge oak tree that goes over in our yard, and anytime I go outside, I'm just like. It's really, yeah, exactly.
I'm going to get that.
Need that sound. No, thank you. Yeah. All right. So just adding a little bit of this to a little bit more yellow, green that we mixed up right here, and just got to kind of add it lightly to my thing. So we'll have again kind of an area right here where we're overlapping these trees that are on this side, probably coming up over right here, and then these ones coming up this way, and then down here we've got all our grasses. And I'm going to go ahead and just fill that in with a dark bright green. And I don't have to, it's actually pretty light. I'm not even really seeing a whole lot of dark areas in here, but I'm going to go ahead and add it just so that I have a little contrast there, a little bit more than what I'm seeing. And that will make sure once we get our water done, we'll be able to go over this whole area and add actual individual leaves and things to this grass. But right now it'll just be kind of a dark base for our foreground greenery. And I'm just going to kind of fuzz it up into the water a little bit right there. But we're going to be painting that water some more, so I really don't want to do too much to this at this point. Okay, so we're already, now at this point we can stop and say, okay, do I feel like there's any depth here? If you don't feel the depth, then you may need to change this, maybe lighten it up, manipulate your colors a little bit. Does this feel darker and more in the shadows? Does this feel lighter and in the sunlight? And if we kind of are starting to feel that, then we know we're kind of on the right track. So I think I'm pretty happy with that for the most part. Okay, so now I'm going to get my liner brush, and I'm not going to bring the trees up as much. I want a little bit more of my sky showing in this one, so I'm going to keep my trees a little bit farther down on this far distant area. So I'm not going to bring my trees up over into the sky. I'm just going to keep them down low kind of, and maybe do a few here up into the sky, but just per, you know, just for the composition's sake, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make a dark purpley, and I think I want a little bit of blue. Burnt umber, blue, ultramarine blue, or phthalo blue, and the Dioxazine purple. I'm kind of getting into my green here that I pre-mixed too, which is fine. I just need a dark color that's got a little bit of blue in it, and I'm going to use my liner brush here, just whatever liner you decide to use. And I'm going to do some small trees all kind of together, all up in this area. They're all going up. Not going to look like a whole lot at first. They're pretty close together in our photo, and so I'm kind of doing that on purpose, kind of keeping them real close together. And then I'm going to get some darker, kind of go a little bit over them and come right at the bottom of them and darken up where they start. So they're all kind of really starting dark there, giving it a good like little dark foresty feel there in that area. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put maybe a little bit of lighter color, so get a little bit of the unbleached titanium, kind of come along the riverbank there, and just kind of fill that in. Okay, it's gonna look weird at first, but it's okay. We're gonna get it there. So now I'm going to get my stippler brush, and I'm going to get my yellow, a little bit of the, maybe get some of the teal, because that was that color for those trees back there. So my yellow and my teal, and some white. The white will help make this more opaque. So be sure to add a little bit of white here. And I'm just going to kind of figure out where my tree line is and start to tap in some trees here. And just kind of tip down and go over the edge of those trees that I just did, okay? And then bring them up here into the sky. And if it doesn't cover your sky enough, you can add a little bit of your darker color and have a little bit of that original color that you were using in your brush. And give it a little bit more depth in some places. But if we did our job right and got that dark enough there, we shouldn't have to do too much to get this to look right there. Right. I'm gonna get a little bit more of my turquoise. That's that color there. It's already dried. I'm gonna put a little bit of that in here. I'm going to bring this, push this back just a little bit. This is that color that's in the trees here. Okay, I like it. I like it. Now, anytime I wash this brush out, I gotta make sure I get all the moisture out of it because it doesn't like to be wet. It gets kind of soggy. So. And right, getting some more yellow, a little bit more white. Uh-oh, that's my phone.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, yours? Okay. Who's calling you?
Sorry about that. No, it was me. It was supposed to have been totally muted
It's supposed to be what?
because it's 6:30, the best time of day.
I don't know what you're saying. I didn't hear you.
It's 6:30. It's the best time of day, hands down.
Okay, I still don't understand what you're saying. Why is that? Why do you have an alarm at 6:30?
To tell my dad joke at 6:30.
Okay. Sorry, I asked. Okay. Getting my Indian Yellow Hue here. And I don't have.
Did you say sorry I asked?
Yes. Okay. There. I feel like it's a little bit light. I don't like, not getting any sense of depth there. So I'm going to go a little bit darker with it. Got a little bit of Indian Yellow Hue and my burnt sienna and my green. There we go. Nice. Okay, so now we've got kind of an area that's going to push back that lighter area there a little bit nicely, I think. Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna get my liner brush here again and do some more random leafy, not leafy, branches and things. Coming up over it, I'm kind of creating this sense of enclosure here. Kind of angling these in just a little bit. Okay. Like that. And then I'm gonna get some more of my white and my Indian yellow and in front. So now we're creating another layer here, pushing back that background and leaving a little bit of this dark here so that it looks like it's coming in front of that. There we go. Yeah, like that. Right, I'm gonna get some more yellow. I need some more of this. So I think I'm gonna use the regular cadmium yellow. I think I need the fluid. There we go. Ooh, got some green in there. I don't want that. Come on. I don't like getting my colors mixed up. I saw an artist that was like using her white and she was dipping into this big tub of white to get her white. And I was like, no. Oh my God. No. It's having conniption. God, if I saw anybody doing that, they would have been dead. Just no. Just
Not allowed.
no. No. The colors do not mix in the bottles. It's pet peeves. All right. I'll put a little bit of this yellow over here. I think it might be a little bit too much, so I'm going to tone it down a little bit with some green here. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this back in here, but most of this darker is going to get other colors that are kind of more of the bluish greens and things. There is a little bit of this kind of lighter greenish, and I think I want maybe, let's go ahead and add some turquoise to it so that it's got a little bit of that turquoise feel. I'm going to use that over here. Kind of do these upward sweeping branches that I'm seeing in some of these trees. Yeah, that's nice. And I can just kind of create a new color story by just changing the color a little bit of the tree. So if I want another tree here, I can kind of get another kind of green going. Maybe a little bit more of a turquoisey green with a little bit of the white, and maybe create another tree back here that's a little bit darker. Like we've got some greenery back here, but it's sort of farther away or in the shadows a little bit more. See that? And then we can put some brighter colors up close. I want to leave a pretty decent area here though for my green right up along the banks of the river. In fact, I'm going to start to kind of just tap that in and kind of pull up to get like a grassy feel for that area there. And then the ones over here are not going to have grass because it's going to be too far away for us to see the grass, but up closer now that it
So your TikTok?
Oh, Nathan's saying he liked the mugs. We got them for
Oh,
Mother's Day.
nice.
Always good to hear from my kiddos. Stop everything. Gotta reply to my son. Okay. Nice. All right, so I'm gonna get some white. I'm gonna spray my paints here. I've got my air blowing in here today, so I'm getting a lot of fast drying happening. I'm gonna get some burnt orange and add that to this. Maybe a little bit of Indian yellow or the Indian yellow or yellow oxide there. Just kind of make a rusty reddish color. I'm gonna add some of that down here. That might be a little bit light in value, but just want to like a little color along the banks back there. And then I'm gonna do like some tree branches coming across here, so that'll kind of define this shape a little bit. But now I need to kind of decide what to do over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in a tree trunk for this tree that we've done. So we've got this tree right here, and so let's say he lives like right in here somewhere. And I don't like to make up trees all that often, like not, like, I mean, I do sometimes. I haven't done this a whole lot, so sometimes when I do this, I'm like, eh. But I am definitely not Bob Ross here. I'm not as brave as him. Try to have a reference photo whenever I can, just because it always seems to come out a little bit better for me when I do. But it doesn't mean you can't do it. Why not? I wanted something different over here, so I don't have a reference photo in front of me, so I'm gonna just have to try to do the best I can here. And art is it's a journey. It's not, we're hopefully creating something nice that we're proud of, but it doesn't always work that way. I've learned to kind of try to minimize my expectations. Realize I am figuring it all out, especially doing live streams. When I first started doing them, when I used to teach live in person, I had an hour and a half ish with my cat class usually, and before the parents started showing up to pick up their kids, so I had a lesson plan and had everything figured out well before I even started teaching. And then when I started doing these live streams on YouTube, I used to do a practice painting, and it helped me kind of, prepare and know kind of generally what to expect. And then started having difficulty with my arm, with my tendonitis in my hand, in my arm, elbow mostly, but made it really, I almost couldn't paint at all for a while there, and it got real bad. I had to go to physical therapy and all of yada yada. So basically I had to kind of dump the practice paintings if I wanted to keep doing this, and I did. I wanted to keep doing it. So we do it live on the fly now. Makes it very exciting for me, especially when I change things like today. So but it's you get to see the real deal, I guess. Sometimes it works out better than others. I'm hoping that this one will be fine. But what I was going to say was, just basically, I've kind of learned to accept that art is part of the journey, It's just kind of figuring things out as you go. And sometimes you have an idea of how things are going to go and they just don't work out the way you think they are. And that's okay. And I think that it's good for beginners to see that too, and to kind of know that going in, that I don't have it all figured out. I've been painting for a while now, but it's still, every new painting is an adventure for me, you know. And you know, some are better than others, and that's okay. Sometimes I feel more confident than other times, and sometimes I'm just paddling, trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Just hoping nobody figures out we don't know what the heck we're doing.
Exactly.
Any day now, the art police can come knocking on the door.
Oh, they already have. They already I already have plenty of the art police comments. All right, so using some teal and white here. Yeah, it always cracks me up when people are like, "Oh, you're," you know, like I replied to somebody's email and they're like, "Wow, you know, you replied to me." And I'm like, yeah, I'm a real regular person. Just me. Just me trying to figure out how to paint.
It's so strange for us.
And how to show you, take you along for the ride. No, I don't ever want to feel like I'm super special. And honestly, I think that most people who are it's called imposter syndrome. It's got a name, it's got a term, it's that common that, you know, anybody who, you know, finds success, or not anybody, I'm sure there's some people that don't have this, but there's a lot of people, and musicians, it doesn't matter what, you know, genre you're in, but we all deal with insecurity and, you know, self-doubt, and especially with anything creative like this. There's so many different ways of approaching it, and it's definitely not a do this, and you're going to guarantee that you're going to get successful results every time. It's just not how it works. So, anyhow, I was like listening to interviews of other artists and things that I admire, even like reading about Monet and different ones that, you know, like you're like, yeah, obviously they were genius, they knew exactly what they were doing, but you read them, you know, talking about their art and like, oh, it's all terrible, everything I've done recently is just bad, and I don't want anybody to see it, and you know, you're just like, wow, they thought those kind of things too, that's amazing. Not good for them, but you know, it's just like, it's such a common thing. Made me feel better, you know. We're all just figuring it out. Let yourself learn it and figure it out too. Don't be so hard on yourself. It helps me. Okay, so here we go. We're just adding, I'm kind of softening up these trees here. I feel like they were a little bit dark. Add a little bit of that light blue green back there, and added just another kind of like blue green with the teal here to my trees back here, and get some yellow and white. Sorry, I was talking and wasn't explaining what colors, but hopefully you can see on the palette what I was doing. Apologize, I'll try not to do that. To talk and not explain what I'm doing.
You were painting, right?
I was.
Okay.
My like I said, my palette's got all the colors.
You were dabbing and daubing and...
I was just adding other greens back there, so
okay.
basically just kind of adding other greens in here, and I'm gonna add some more of the foliage to this tree here. I don't know if I like that. Okay, let's work on this side over here. So I found that the trick with foliage and, you know, showing depth is just to cover up the cover up your previous layer with a new layer. So we got our tree here, so we want some stuff to look like that's in front of it, so we'll just kind of pick another color, and maybe I'll get, in fact I think I want a bigger brush for this so it covers a little bit more ground. So get some of my green and some of my yellows, maybe some of the Indian Yellow Hue and my cadmium yellow light here, and some white. And kind of have a nice bright green going on, and I'm just going to put a new bush right in here that'll cover part of that, maybe leave part of the tree trunk kind of poking out there, showing, and let's bring it out over our water here so that it starts to cover this foreground area, right? So it's going to be like there's something right here close to us that's now blocking the view of that section right there. And that will just help kind of close off that whole area. And it pushes that back visually and gives us some depth here. So I'm gonna add some of that and leave some of that color there in the background. I think I'm just gonna go like that, and we'll just have a nice big bush right there. Bring it out over the water a little bit, and then all of this is gonna be our flowers and things. So we're just gonna start, having our flowers come up here. And I think that'll be good enough. I don't think we're gonna have to do a whole lot more there for that. So let's use a little bit of this this color in our water. This is the color, kind of that lightish green. I just kind of wipe most of it out, and I'm just gonna kind of brush it side to side here and tint the water over here a little bit. A little bit of green. See that? So now we got some shadows happening right there. All right.
Hey, you're lucky you're not under the clock tonight.
Why?
The season's over.
Oh, okay, good. It's good to know. I was trying to hurry, so, but we're doing okay on time, I think. I'm okay. I'm happy with what we've got going on so far. I don't love like that clump right there. See how it kind of clumped together? So I think I'm going to try to separate that out a little bit. Maybe get a little bit of another color that's got some contrast. Maybe a little bit of the darker green.
So what colors did you just mix to do that?
I just mixed together a little bit of the green with my yellow here.
Okay.
When I say green, I'm talking the phthalo green yellow shade. So just a little bit of that. And yeah, and then let me get some of this darker burnt orange color. I'm going to tap it in back there. I like that color, and I'm going to tap in some of it back here too, just for a backdrop for our flowers. More flowers to go in there. Okay, I like it. Okay, we've got a nice depth happening. Let's go ahead and start on our water, work on that a little bit more. So we've got a pretty decent shoreline happening, but I think I want to add a little bit darker color to it. So I'm going to get a little bit of the phthalo blue and purple and burnt umber. So I have just a really dark navy purpley blue. Probably be like a Prussian blue if you had to mix it or grab, look for it in a bottle, something like that. I'm just going to use it right here and really kind of darken up some of this shoreline and kind of create some different things happening here. And then I also going to use this color for my rocks. So I'm going to start to lay in some rocks in my water. Well, actually, I want to finish my water first, so I take that back. I'm going to do a little bit more of let me get it some ultramarine blue with white here. So just having like another color of blue in here in the water. we've got that kind of greenish blue, so I'm going to add some of this more cool blue. And just add it in places, not everywhere, just kind of skim it around. This can be kind of maybe some of the color that's in our whitewash that's going to happen. It went on too thick right there. I'm going to take some of that off. If I catch it while it's wet, it'll just come right off. I'm going to have some rocks in here, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of guess where I'm going to put those. And this is going to also kind of break up our green. If you've got any kind of solid areas where, or any areas where your color doesn't look quite, you know, like it saturated well into the canvas, I can add just this as a kind of another layer here. And this kind of purpley blue will also kind of have it, make it look like it's, you know, reflecting the sky, or kind of just another layer. Always adding these different layers of color, all these different greens, all these different blues. Just always adds more and more interest to the painting. You don't even really notice it at first, but once you start to really break it down and look at these pictures, you can see all these different colors in them. And so we're just kind of trying to pull those colors out and make them more obvious, exaggerate them a little bit. Okay, I like it. And then I want to do the dark against this side, but I think I'm going to use like a little bit more of a lighter version of that purple that I used over here. So might get a little bit of that blue, a little bit of maybe a little bit of the turquoise in here. Because I'm looking at the other side and I'm looking at the color that I'm seeing against the wall, and it's this kind of dark green turquoisey color. So I'm going to use that over here since I don't have a reference to use. This will just help give me, it's going to be kind of on the bottom here wherever that shoreline is. Wipe out my brush. I can get some of the lighter green color or lighter blue color and just kind of smudge out that edge so that it smudges out into the water a little bit. Softens that line up. Okay. And then I'm going to use a little bit of that back in here too. I'm seeing it kind of against that back water area there. Okay, get some white. And there's a little runoff right here. It's not fully white, so, you know, I don't want it too bright. I'm mixing it with this blue. Kind of pulling down a little bit. And then I'm just going to kind of start tapping and creating my whitewash areas where I think I'm seeing them. I'm going to add my rocks also, so those will go in. I could do this after the rocks, but this way I can kind of paint this in and then do my rocks around it. And then if I decide I need more of it later, I can always add more. I think this is gonna do, and I'm gonna just, like in this area, just kind of do these kind of crazy ripples that I'm seeing. Okay, I think that's good. I might have gotten that a little bit bright, but we'll see when we get our rocks in. I think hopefully it'll be okay. Let me get my, let me think what I color. No, I think I want my angle brush for this. So I'm going to get my 3/8 inch angle brush, and we're going to make the rocks with this purple and phthalo blue with burnt umber. Really, any of these darker colors you can use for this. It doesn't really matter what color you use as long as the value is right. So make sure you're, now these, I'm using these colors because I'm using cooler colors because the light, again, is coming from this direction. So we're seeing the rock where the light's hitting it here, and this part that we're going to be seeing that's in shadow is going to be a cooler shadow because it's in shade, so it's not getting that bright yellow light. So let's go ahead and do a rock right here. Let's pick one. And having the bottom kind of flat-ish can really help with the illusion. The fan is so coming on a lot tonight. All right. I think I put that down a little bit low, but that's okay. We're just gonna kind of put some rocks in the water here. Again, I'm kind of trying to keep the bottoms of them flat-ish. So, and as they go farther away, they're going to be smaller-ish. I mean, it's not like a hard and fast rule, but generally our things farther away are going to be small. And I'm kind of finding these whitewater areas and making sure I have a rock or something that's sort of causing it. And let's just put some out in the water here along our shoreline. And let's go ahead and put some on this side since we've not got our we don't have a wall there. We're gonna want it to kind of match the other side. Let's see, we've got some rocks coming out there. And some of these rocks, back in here are not as obvious. They're in the shadows. Let's go ahead and put one here. Coming out this way. And this is the scary part because it's going to look weird. There's just no way around it. It's going to look weird. So you just kind of have to be brave. Be brave. You can do it. Just stick those rocks in there. You gotta do it. We'll make them look good here in a minute. Right now they're gonna look really bad. And you're gonna start thinking you did this wrong. So just keep it up. Do it. I'm talking to myself right now because like the whole time you're like, oh, that doesn't look good. Like what I want to do right now is just go in and put my highlights in so that they look like rocks. But I know it'll go faster if I just do them all right now, bite the bullet and just get them all done at once. It's like pulling teeth. Just yank it out, get it all one time. Just get all the pain over with. One go here. And then we'll make it look pretty here in a minute. I promise.
Yeah, it's kind of like the barn painting the other week.
Yeah.
It's like, man, if you saw it at the beginning stages, like,
right.
Are you sure? Mm-hmm. But then, voila.
Yep. It just takes some time and different layers. Get the right look we want, but we'll get you there. It's just not going to be pretty, maybe, all the time. Again, Bob Ross he somehow made everything look good within 20 minutes. He did his paintings in 20 minutes. Like, really? Dude, how? It's just unreal. I still sometimes watch his videos and like, oh man. Incredible. All right, so I'm going to add some shadows into the water too. Just got like slightly lighter color, and I'm going to go, or slightly lighter than what I just did. And I'm going to put some shadow in my water. Again, if I don't do this now, you might as well do it while I've got this color on here. So here we go. Okay, so now we got all this nice, beautiful, I think I've got one more that I missed down here. Beautiful framework for all these great rocks to go in here. I'll do one big one right here. Coming down. All right. No, I don't know why I did that right there. It's not we need to see that water going through. Okay, so it'll be right there. All right, so now this is the fun part, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just stick with this brush. It seems to be working well for me. So pick a color that is a warmer version of what we're doing. So I can still like have, it can maybe be mossy, so it may have some greens and things on it in some places. So some of these can have some green. I'm going to get some like a mossy green though, with that kind of Indian yellow hue and some ultramarine blue. Make kind of a military green almost, like a moss green. I'm going to use that on the bank of the water here, and on some of these ones that are in the shadow. So start there. Kind of just marking out little highlights on some of those that, they're getting light, but it's not full sun. So, see that? And then as we get closer to the middle, we're going to start to get the sunlight hitting these rocks. And then we can change to brighter colors. Seeing where I'm seeing this green. Seeing a little bit of it on the back sides of some of these here sticking up. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. All right, so when I'm doing these, I'm going to leave that dark shadow like right where it meets the water. So make sure I'm not adding my highlight all the way down to the water on this side. But then I'm going to get some of this burnt orange and yellow oxide mixture. I still have this green on my brush, so it's kind of mixing with it. I think that'll be kind of the color I think I want to see on my rocks here. So I'm going to get my Unbleached Titanium, which is just a white with a little bit of the yellow oxide or burnt umber in it. Just kind of a dirty white. Kind of a warm white. And start to mark out some of these rocks and come up with pretty full coverage right toward the top of the rock. So right at the top of the edge, and I can even define a new edge of the rock with this color if I want. if I want to change the shape. But just make sure that it doesn't go down into the water all the way. And if I kind of tap it in a little bit and let it break up a little bit, I'll get kind of a dry brush effect, and it'll look kind of like a stone texture. And I'm going to just tap this color along my bank and add, boom, add some highlights to my rocks. Now I'm thinking about where the light's hitting, so these ones are going to get it on this side here. Some darker browns here. Now we did say that this was going to be trees in front here, but I'm kind of pretending like I'm seeing this through here, so I'm kind of building up things that I think would be back here, and then we can cover it up later. Gonna get some ultramarine blue here with my burnt umber, created gray with it, has a little bit of blue tint to it, and my white. And I'm going to use that kind of down on the bottom half of these rocks. So we're closer, we're like maybe, the top half has got more light, and the back side of them that's not catching the light, is still lit up, but it's not as bright. So it's getting this blue shadow color here happening. Finish doing these. I should have done the rest of these, but I'm going to use some of this color in my shadow rocks back there. Okay. Isn't that cool? I mean, not that hard. It really isn't. It's a lot of fun. I hope you guys try it. Get some of my reddish color and use it on these rocks here. A little bit of the red. And I like kind of using a flat brush that's got some angular, a brush that's got an angular shape for this instead of like a round shape, because I feel like it creates better marks on these rocks. They kind of come out a little bit more natural looking, in my opinion. They get these nice angles and things happening that you can't really get with the round brush. Alright, to get some more of the lighter highlight color with the from before. Just work out different places on some of these rocks where I'm going a little bit more let's see, just kind of using the shape of the brush and pulling my angles with it, just deciding on a direction and just letting it skim across, break up, and create these colors and shapes. I like it.
Okay, you did it again. Good job.
Thanks.
You saved the day.
I told you.
I didn't doubt you.
All right, so then we're just gonna fill in the water here and go in between my rocks here and add some turbulence and some other shapes here. Now that I kind of know where things are gonna be, I'm gonna get a little bit of that turquoisey blue with my white and my phthalo blue and phthalo green, which is kind of my sky color, but I want it more white, mostly white. And I'm going to kind of go between my rocks here and add. Seeing going over the top of these shadow areas is really effective with this. Just using this angle brush and drawing in my white wash. I don't want to do too much though, so I'm gonna keep it. Try to keep it loose. You can wipe your brush off so that you have less paint on there. It helps with that. So you can't add too much at one time. That looks good though. I like it. And so I gotta be careful not to go over the top of my rocks though. That's the thing. I just went over that rock, so I'm gonna get a little bit of my rock color and come back over with it. And I'm just going to kind of meander that water, let it zigzag between my rocks, create shapes. Over in here, I want to make sure that I'm doing it a lot lighter, or use it like a, can even use like a zinc white or something that's a little bit more transparent, or just use a little bit more water in here so I'm not covering up too much of that, because it's in my shadows, so it's not catching the light. All right, and then I really need it a little bit darker, so I'm going to get, I think I want a little bit of purple even, a little of the magenta. And I'm going to get some my glazing medium now. So I'm just going to kind of glaze some color in my water. Magenta, burnt orange, purple. Not magenta, I'm sorry, burnt orange and purple. That's it, just those two. And this is kind of a result of the filter. It's not in the original photo, but I liked it, so I'm gonna add it, even though it's not really in my original photo, this red color. I think it adds to the color story that's happening. I mixed that color over the top of an area that was dry, so it's picking up crumpled paint, which I don't want. So I'm going to mix it back over here again. Get a little bit of burnt umber. Can add a little bit of the ultramarine blue to it even. Yeah, and I think I want some ultramarine blue right up next to my rocks there. And I can also glaze on my rocks, so I can add a shadow. Like say I covered too much of the, rock with my highlight color. I can go back in here and put in some transparent color over the bottom of that rock, or wherever I want it to be on there, and add little bits of shadow. Definitely bringing it out. Okay, I like it. So yeah, you just have to make sure that your rocks look like they live where they, where they're planted. So make sure that they've got good shadows in your water, and they're disturbing the flow of the water, somewhat. It's got ripples around them, or things happening in the water around them because they live there. So I think it's pretty good. Let me go a little bit darker with some of the darkening up that. I feel like it would be maybe casting a shadow or something over here. And then I can get some of my blue for my water and make sure that I'm going over my, not going over my rock, I mean. Adding little highlight spots back in. All right, I think I'm gonna say that's good, and let's go ahead and add some. I mean, I could do more, but it's close. It's close. I'm gonna add just like a couple of. Use this blue for my sky, and add it on just like some of my rocks, just a few of them, just in like the brightest spot. Here we go. So this rock should have at least like 4 or 5 colors on them. Just, each one should have a little different variation of color just to make them look interesting. We can get some yellow oxide and add a little bit of yellow oxide here and there on a couple of them too. So yellow oxide, some green. We started out with the purple, we added green, we added the light blue, we added the highlight like yellowish color, and then we added the red color, and then we added some more blue on them. So we've got lots of colors going on in these rocks, and I think that it really helps kind of with the effect. And I'm going to go ahead and add some brighter white. Coming through there. A lot of white water right there. Pushing through that little narrow area. I'm stopping. All right, so let's go ahead and do. I could mess with those forever. It's fun. Lots and lots of colors going on. Lots to work with. All right, so let's go ahead and make our grasses in our foreground here. And I'm going to kind of make I'm making a medium-ish green. I want a green that's bright enough to be able to be seen. Okay, so I'm just kind of testing it there to see if it's going to be visible. I might go a little bit lighter, but I'm going to go ahead and just start throwing in a bunch of grasses. And I want it so that I cannot see this line at all. If I want enough grass, just do it until you can't see. And make sure you bring some up really high so that you've got really nice foreshadowing here. And we've got, like, it really is going to push back those rocks and make them look farther away. Okay, so here we go. I'm just getting this. As long as I've got my paint wet enough, you want it so that you don't have to press down on your brush for that paint to come off. If you got your paint too thick, it won't come off your liner brush. So, and if you start to get these kind of broken lines, you can see that some of these are kind of breaking up on me. That also is a sign that I don't have enough water on my brush. So just making sure that I'm adding lots of water here. And then once I have enough water, if I use like one of these script liners, it holds a lot of paint. So I can really kind of do quite a bit. I'm going to change the color to like a darker color here. Maybe. I think I want even darker. I want it to be like a... And this is why I used the fluid acrylics too here for this, because I knew I was going to do grasses, so I wanted to be sure I had... Yeah, see? So you can use some darker grasses. Just want contrast, so whatever works. Doesn't have to be, Well, I really like how this is turning out, though, and I think that this is working for me. I'm not gonna do a whole lot more to it. I think that it's enough. Like, it's got a suggestion of depth. We got these bushes in the foreground that push that tree back, and I think once we get our flowers and things in here, I'm just going to put some flowers up up to about right here. And I don't think it's going to matter at all what's, that we don't have that defined. Okay, so doing my first layer right across there, making sure that I've got it nice and thick so that I don't have a weird green line across there. And then I'm going to just start adding more and more grasses to fill this whole thing in.
Okay, I'm making some travel arrangements here.
Why?
Because they're going to have a Monet show, Beyond Monet.
Ooh, what?
In Hawaii.
Oh my goodness.
And it's starting June 15th, so I figured we could just fly out
there. Go for our anniversary.
Yeah, and we'll stay with some friends. They've already said that we could stay there, so.
What?
Other places, so, yeah. And they're buying the Spam, so it's even better.
Oh my goodness. Mark's not kidding. I think, you know. You think you say you want that's just, don't say that unless you mean it, because he's not kidding. He will get on a plane. He's been wanting to go to Hawaii for a while.
I mean, this is the price of the airline tickets if he's...
Okay.
So we're definitely staying at people's
So we
houses.
should have done that instead of going to the festival here. All right, adding little dots, little, you know, details to my grasses, just little bits. I don't want to get too far down before I do this in case I cover any of this, so I just want to kind of make sure that I'm doing some little details to these as we go, each layer. And this also can help kind of hide any, you know, bits if you've got any areas. I did some, like, other grasses down here that were not as, you know, like obvious, like more kind of leafy type bits here. In this area, saw some stuff. And then this will be this kind of thing that's kind of in the underneath. So it's gonna be visible, but it won't be like it's not gonna be defining the whole thing. So just kind of adding interesting little leafy bits here. And this brush will kind of create these random brush strokes for me. And I'm just literally just kind of tapping and kind of swishing the brush, if that makes sense, kind of doing like this as I'm tapping. So I'm getting kind of these random little swishy shapes in my grass. I'm going to put other grasses at the top of them, so there'll be some depth there. This just kind of helps fill in this area here. Some interesting foliage and things. I like it. Let's get some. I'm going to get some Cobalt Teal here. How you doing, hon?
I'm thinking of Hawaii.
He's like, how can I make that happen? How?
How many paintings do we have to sell? You know I've been wanting to go.
I know you have.
Yes. And now it's art related, so it's a business expense.
Is it?
Yeah, because we're going to see art for inspiration.
Oh, I see. I don't think that's...
I'm sure an accountant can make that swing somehow, right?
I'm not sure that's
No?
how that works, but...
I think you have to buy some paint there.
I'd probably have to work on our vacation if we did that. Not that painting in Hawaii would be a hardship.
And then we just may not come back.
I've heard the cost of living is really high there. Plus, we got grandbabies this year.
That's true. All right. The voice of reason steps in. Thanks, Mom.
Okay. All right, I think I'm going to switch to a different brush now, so I get a little bit bigger leafies. Getting the angle brush here, picking up my green, some yellow, so I have kind of both on here, and I have it loaded up fairly thick with paint, and I'm going to just gonna put in random brush strokes, random leaves. Leaving some dark areas here. And I'm literally just tapping to create these brush strokes. So if I set down the brush and kind of swish it back, it creates like a leafy shape. That's all I'm doing. I'm sort of twisting it so that I'm getting different kind of size leaves and different, more randomness to it. If you're too deliberate with this kind of thing, it just starts to look kind of not great. Yeah, patterns will form and it just doesn't look as good. So, right, looks good. Let's go ahead and make our purple for our flowers. I'm going to get some purple and some magenta. Mix that together. Add my white. Make a little bit more pink. There we go. Lots of white. So I've got more pink and white. I'm going to also make a blue that is kind of a similar color. And, oh, look at that. It's real fun. These flowers are literally just dabs, so just dots. And just cluster them. Just clustering them along a certain, area will make them look like they're part of the plant. So clustering my little dabbing brush strokes. Going up over the water. If you can't see them against the water, you can add a little bit of contrast, either make them lighter or darker, just whatever it calls for. Isn't that nice? Mm-hmm. Very fun, easy to do. Just using the tip of the brush, kind of pulling down towards myself to create these shapes. Your eye is filling in the details. So this is what I was saying about that straight line here. Because you don't expect a straight line, a manufactured shape in this setting, if we had done that like straight line there, it would have drawn the eye a little bit too much. Like it would have kind of distracted from this scene. Our eye is doing a lot of things here. We're seeing this cluster of green, which if you looked at it up close, does not look like a tree at all. It looks like a big green blob with just maybe, a couple little shades of difference in there. But in this context with this blue here and the other trees around it, your eye is like, oh, that's a tree. And so that's what it's doing with these flowers. Your eye is interpreting what's going on around it all the time. And it's seeing colors and shapes in different situations and interpreting them. And you're not focusing on every little bit of every little scene that you walk into. You're just kind of gathering it as a whole and going, okay, there's green with pink little dots. Those must be flowers. And so your brain's going to, interpret these as flowers, even though we're not putting zero detail into them. They're just dots. But in the right context here, it's magic. They're suddenly flowers. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if that made sense, but I was trying to explain.
I'm sure it did.
Hopefully you weren't listening.
No, mourning the loss of my trip to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Mixing some light blue purple here. Mixing some ultramarine blue to that purpley color. Gonna add some of that to these. Maybe a little bit more darker. A little bit more ultramarine blue. Okay. So I've got like two versions of it, and then I'm just now adding a third color. This blue I'm just going to add kind of to the back sides of some of these to add a little shadowing. Especially some of these down here might be not getting as much light.
Now I should have taken pictures of all the wildflowers I saw today on my walk.
Yeah.
There's so many different varieties, and thanks to you, I notice them now.
Good for you. You're welcome. And we could leave it like this if you wanted to. I thought I might add a little pop of yellow just because yellow and this purple will look nice together. It'll be a nice contrast. Did want to add a little bit of white. I'm going to scrape my palette off so that I have a place to mix my colors. Run out of space. I have this like fear that one of these days I'm going to open that up and hold it wrong and cut myself on air while I'm doing this. Like, every time I do it, I'm like, don't cut yourself. Be careful. Go slow.
So what red is that Angela just added to the palette?
Yeah, exactly. There we go. All right.
So while she's scraping and wearing there, just remind everybody that this weekend in 2022 is our Patreon $5 bonus video.
Yeah.
And it's on Saturday,
Yes.
not the normal Sunday.
Yes. Because we're not painting on Saturdays through the summer, so thought we'd take advantage of that and do it on a Saturday.
Very good.
Yes. So I don't know if that's better or not, but it feels like...
At least for this month. It may not be the same next month.
Yeah, we'll see if people like it or not. All right, getting my... I'm going to get a little bit of green and my white. And I'm going to make my Queen Anne's lace flowers, which have like little clusters of blossoms. So just like little clusters of dots together. Or this might be wild carrot. I don't know. There's different species, but that little, just like these as a wildflower. They're fun to paint. Okay, might just do like 3 there, and then I'm going to get my I don't think I'm going to use that. I think that's too big. I'm going to use my 2 round here. I'm going to get some yellow, add some water to it so it's fluid. And add a little bit of the Indian Yellow Hue so it's a little bit more of a golden, more like a cadmium yellow medium maybe. And then white to make it more opaque. So it'll cover all my other colors here. So I'm just gonna throw in some daisies here, some little, whatever these are.
And you have your Blick link, right?
Hopefully. Is it?
A DPBOL.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Perfect.
Yes. And just, I would go slower. I'd do a better job of this. Go slow and just do these little individual petals coming in towards the center. You have all these little individual petals. And maybe one more. Getting some of the burnt orange and my Indian yellow hue and add that to this yellow. And use that for the center. Just tap it in. Can add a little bit of white to make it more opaque if I need to. Cover. Get some of that green with my brush here and some of the darker color. I think I even want to maybe a little purple, just like a really nice dark green. Add water so that it's fluid. I can add a little glaze to help make it stick. And add some of those taller green leafies. This is going to add some depth. Can use these in here too. Okay. And then I'm going to go back to this brush and grab some of that color, some of my lighter color on the tip of it, so kind of have both of the colors on there at once. Maybe a little bit of my yellow, and just map out some leaves over the top of some of this. Make sure that it shows up against this background, so make sure it's enough of a different color, different value to show up. I think I want some turquoise. Let me get some of the teal and add some of that green to it, a little bit of the brown, so a nice dark turquoisey green. Both of those browns in this with my green and my phthalo blue and turquoise, or the teal color. So this is going to be like a totally different green here. Yeah, so that'll give it, and I'm going to use this sparingly, but just in a few areas, just to kind of add just a bump of different color here. A little depth in there, working that back in. Can be easy to kind of, especially when you get going with these lighter colors, to lose all your depth. So just wanted some good depth there. gonna add some of this bright yellow green just along here. So like it's gonna pop out in the sunlight. Maybe there's some stuff happening down here along the riverbank. And I want to make sure that that tree makes sense. It's not quite making sense right now. So I'm gonna let's get some of this teal green color with some white. Maybe add a little bit of yellow. I'm just gonna kind of go over. Just need something with a little bit of difference. Let's get some more white and some yellow here. Okay, that's too much that color, so let's get closer to the bright lime green here. I'm just gonna put it down, coming down from that hillside there. Put a little bit of that brighter green in the water over here. And then I want to add just a few more of these purpley pink flowers. Purple, white, a little bit of magenta. I want to get more white. I want it brighter. Really bright. Just really add some brighter pops of white to some of these flowers. Doesn't have to be all of them. This will just really draw the eye in. I kind of went light on my purple at first, so I'm kind of going back in now and kind of filling in a few areas where I feel like I could use a little bit more color. And this bright highlight color is really going to help make it pop. I know, I like it. Okay, we're almost there. Is it not everywhere? And I need to stop with the purple because I'm overdue. Probably already did. Well, it is kind of everywhere in the picture though, so I'm kind of looking at my picture, so I went a little sparing first. I like it. Hope you guys have liked it. Give it a thumbs up. Thanks again to Susie for sending me this photo. Really beautiful. If you have a photo you want me to paint, you can send it to my email. I've got links down in the description for that. I'm pretty picky, so just don't get your hopes up, but always willing to see. I do like to get ideas from people as to what they'd like to see painted. not all are right for my channel. Somebody was suggesting portraits, and that's just not really something I paint. So, you know, I'm not a portrait painter. I've tried. I don't really like it. It's not my thing. And that's okay. I don't have to paint everything. Paint what makes you happy. And flowers make me happy. So there you go. That's I paint the landscapes, but I like them to have flowers.
Some color.
Yeah, just some flowers in there. The payoff for me. I do all the hard stuff, and then I get to do the flowers at the end. Here. Alright, I'm giving this yellow a second layer to brighten them up. You can always do some that are, you know, part facing away, or, you know, buds or whatever. You can get creative with this and do as many of these as you want. If you like these yellow flowers. I feel like there's probably some in different places. I mean, I can just kind of indicate some color. I don't have to actually paint them all in. But, all right, I think I'm going to call that good. Isn't that fun? And, you know, if you feel like you get a color here and you want it somewhere else, you could always add, you know, a touch of the... We added this purple, though, in our darker areas, if you remember, and it's also in our rocks. So this isn't the only place in the painting that it is. It's also incorporated all through the painting in other areas, and that really helps with the realism, too, of the scene. So I think that's good. Do we have any questions before we go?
Oh, well, first of all,
Super chat!
super chat. Get all my stuff turned off here. Check. All right, here we go. So hopefully I don't miss any, because some have fallen off the charts.
Oh, okay.
So we had a donation from Angela.
Oh.
No special message, but thank you very much, Angela. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. No. Thank you, Angela.
And then we have one from Peggy.
Character bowing down saying thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Peg. I love that.
And then we had one from our photographer.
Oh, what? You didn't have to do that.
Susie.
So sweet. Thank you.
Loving character
Susie.
bowing his head while spreading hearts with his arms.
Oh. Love that. Super sweet.
And then the one that fell off was from another Susie. And this one was a bowing pair saying thank you. And then we had one from Cindy. And she says, great painting to get one in the mood for all outdoors.
Yes.
So thank you to Cindy and the Susies.
Yes, thank you, all the
And
Susies.
to Peggy and to Angela.
Oh.
Not you.
Very sweet.
Yeah. Okay, then we had questions.
Okay.
So let me make sure I get these off here. So someone wants to know, are you going to paint a picture of a vineyard?
You know, I have had that on my to-do list for a while. So yes, I will eventually. My problem was that it didn't do very well in my polls. Like I usually take polls for my patrons to see what to paint next. And every time I did that, I don't feel like I have found the right photo, I guess, maybe that they're excited to paint. So but yes, I want to. I'm just still looking for the right photo. So if you have one that you think might, that is royalty free, that I actually can use legally, or that you took, let me know. I'm up for it.
All right.
Just have to find the right one that my patrons also want to paint.
And then this one from our other Susie, our donator, says, how does Angela keep the paint from going up in the ferrule when she's mixing the paint?
Well, part of it is to not press down too hard. So, oh, God, I'm making a mess. How did I get paint all over there? I must have wiped it against the side of the thing there. Got it all over that brush and all over my hand. But when I'm mixing it, I'm not. If you press down too hard, that's when it kind of, or if I'm using too much. But if at any point that I feel like, I've just have too much paint on my brush, just kind of push it to the side. I kind of do this little twisting motion and smoosh it to the side, and that'll kind of offload what's on your brush. But if you're going to be mixing a lot of a color, I would probably go ahead and use a palette knife, and that way it'll save your brush from, having that problem. So, but it's mainly just lots of practice of doing it, trying to keep it. But I still do it, though, even though I try not to. It still happens, so it's not.
Okay.
It's just what happens when you mix with a brush sometimes. Okay, thank you.
And then we had
some
a
highlights to this tree here.
question from Vernetta.
Okay.
And she wants to know, how do you keep your paint so smooth and creamy? They use a Gray Matters palette, but they still have trouble.
Do you use the same kind of paint that I'm using?
I don't know. This was asked very early in the show. So.
Smooth and creamy. I don't know. I would say I'm adding water, so that helps keep them smooth. Water is important with acrylics. Having enough water in your paints. If you feel like they're just getting sticky and not moving around on you, then you definitely need to add water. And I'm spraying mine pretty often, so I'm going to add some dark to this too, just to give it a little contrast. No, this is just me fiddling here, adding little bits that,
All right, so we have to go to Hawaii to see the art show.
Okay.
And then we have to go to France to get some pictures of the vineyards.
Oh, okay.
So, it's going to be like a long business trip.
I think so. We'll just take a big long. I'm going to take that off. I don't think I needed that.
Yeah.
Big long round the world tour.
Yes.
Mark says yes.
And maybe we can learn the animals of the continents while we're going.
No comment.
What?
The end. Yes, agreed. I've had difficulty with that. I need to. That would probably help me to know my geography better. Asia and Africa are different continents. Keep trying to add my African animals to my Asian animal painting this month. I did make my next one, though. It's going to be South America, so I did that today. I was pretty proud of it. And there are no African animals in it, I guarantee. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. That's the end of that one. That was really fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks again to Susie and for the use of her photo. This is really fun to paint. And we'll be back
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday. We're not going to be painting on the weekends anymore.
For the summer.
I'm going to add just some phthalo blue here.
You do have your Patreon challenge video
Glaze.
that you just talked about on Thursdays.
I do.
The
Yes, I have
$10 level.
those, and so we'll be keeping up with our Patreon obligations with our patrons, and we'll have a traceable of this. If you like to use traceables and don't like to draw, you can download that and trace onto your canvas with our traceables, and that's just right now $2 a month. We may, not sure, maybe Well, I won't say it. But maybe changing up our Patreon once my new website's up. That's all. So we'll see. We haven't decided yet what's going on, but
Can we add the trip to Hawaii level? I want to subscribe to that because I want to go. Sorry.
Which, okay, I'm not understanding that, but okay.
So you still haven't got my joke yet, have you?
What joke?
My 6:30 joke.
No.
Best time of day. Hands down. Hands on the clock. Saying 6:30.
Oh, God. No. Jeez. On that note, gonna say thank you, guys. Thank you for putting up with us. We'll be back on next Tuesday. All right. Thanks for watching. We got hundreds of videos. Don't not watch us.
Don't fall behind.
Don't fall. Yeah, exactly. Share, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.